Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of Zede Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, Zede and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Welcome to the podcast, and today we're talking about fabric care, garment care for your fabric. And I've got a question for Zede.
Because Zede's here, along with Mallory.
Zede is here. I thought you all knew that.
She's acting like everybody's listened to every podcast we've ever
Go back
made.
and listen to them. They're good. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Zede, do you pre-wash your fabric?
Probably not.
Okay.
A lot of times, no.
Okay.
A lot of times, no.
Well, let me just interrupt here.
Yeah.
Because you're probably going to be talking about the time of this one.
It depends on... Okay.
I'm
In the old days, I did.
I'm gonna pre-wash my fabric.
Okay. What fabric is it?
I'm gonna pre-wash. It doesn't
Everything?
matter.
Because you made something and it was too small.
Yep, I made something and it shrunk, and I'm so pissed.
Okay, right.
I am.
Well, you know,
so pissed.
It depends. It depends on how you're going to launder that fabric or care for that fabric later. Okay.
Yeah.
When I was young, and we bought fabric off the bolt at Penny's or Kresge's or the dime store, it was all cotton, and we actually not only cotton, it was made in the United States. Imagine that. Of course, you pre-washed it.
Yeah.
And of course, it was going to shrink because the only way you had to wash anything was and get it clean was in a washer and dryer or to the dry cleaners. I am not a dry cleaning fan. I don't like the smell of something when it comes back from the dry cleaners. I don't feel like it gets clean.
Have you ever used the green dry cleaner?
I actually have not, but I'm
me
sure,
neither.
I'm sure it's a better idea. I'm better off. I am a fan of the products that the dry cleaning products that you use in your dryer, where you have the big plastic bag. Now, some washing machines have that steam dryer or something.
Yeah.
Or not particularly even the washing machines, but the dryers have some form now too. I have my ways of cleaning things and not cleaning things. And garment, all garments that are sold, retail garments that are sold have a care tag in them.
Yep. And
I usually don't go by that. But you should if you don't have the experience or know what you're doing.
Mom's washed a lot of clothes. And
I wash a lot of things, but if you're pretty sure of the fabric content and what you're doing and what you're going to do about it later, it makes a whole, that makes a lot of difference.
I'm going to pre-wash a couple fabrics right now after we're done with this podcast because I'm combining two really, really different fabrics in a garment.
Sure.
And one is a cotton jersey and stretch twill.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know that they will.
Not only pre-wash, but put them in the dryer like you're going to expect to put them. If you're going to put them in the dryer and put them on heat level number 4, then do it.
Do it.
Do it exactly that way.
Pre-wash your fabric the way you're going to treat
it. Right. Yeah, and you want to serge the edges. Yep. Okay, because you don't want the stringy, thready things coming out and balling it up while it's in the washing machine. Right. So that's another thing. But serging those edges, if you don't have a serger, zigzag or just straight stitch down them with a small short stitch down those edges. But that's what you should do, and you should treat it like you think you're going to treat it later. Yeah,
and I am a bad laundry doer.
Yes, she is.
Yep.
She thinks she can put it in the machine and it's going to come out and fold itself or hang it up by itself. And
no, I just
whatever.
Don't care. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah.
I am an attentive laundry doer.
Mom's a super awesome laundry doer. And so I didn't get that from her. But I want to say that I am thinking about, as I'm making my clothes, I'm thinking about how I want to do laundry, and I'm choosing my fabrics, trying to choose my fabrics accordingly. And I know that I don't like to do laundry, and I know that the hardest I want to work is washing it and then hanging it up.
Okay.
Versus or wash it and put it in the dryer.
Right.
But I don't want to have to iron it a whole lot or anything like
Right.
that, But
Well, nobody does, probably.
no, but well,
Right.
I don't know. Some people like that. I
I
know,
used
but
to not mind ironing when I felt, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like to iron, actually.
I think one big thing that you always shock people with is how you clean silk and
Yeah.
how you clean wedding dresses. So I've got some silk actually, that I'm about to make another little shirt out
Uh-huh.
of. And I'm not so worried about the silk shrinking.
Right.
It's a woven, it's a silk like
Sure.
kind of I don't know if it's what do they call
Well,
it?
it will shrink
Yeah,
because it's a natural fiber. So
yeah.
absolutely it will.
So I'm gonna wash it in cold water
Right.
in my washing machine,
Uh-huh.
and
And what is it? Is heavy, thick silk?
no, it's like a crepe. It's very thin.
Then I would also put it in a laundry mesh bag.
Okay. I was gonna
Because you
pre-wash.
don't-
I was gonna wash it by itself.
The
but
the
to
one
wash
thing
the,
that the one thing
yeah.
that's funny about silk is when silk is wet, it is very, very fragile, and as it dries, it gets stronger.
Oh, okay.
So there are some, especially organic fabrics, tend to do things like that. That's what parachutes used to be made out of silk because they were really, really strong. But when they get wet, that it is a more fragile
Can weaken
fabric.
the fiber. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I was gonna wash that just in cold water, and hang it up. Was not
Okay.
gonna put it in the dryer.
Uh-huh.
That's but talk about how you launder silk garments. Talk about different silk garments.
Well, it depends. I mean, most of them I wash.
Yeah.
And I launder them on a delicate cycle, or I do them by hand.
Yep.
They're always in a mesh bag because you don't, if you're laundering them with something else, a lot of the wear that happens in your washing machine. Now, I don't have an agitator in my washing machine. I have a front load non-agitating.
Me
washing
too. I have a
machine.
new
Yeah.
washing machine.
They do have top loading non-agitating machines, and that's another suggestion but not having that agitator really does do less wear and tear on your clothing. The bag saves the garment. The mesh bag saves the garment from rubbing up against another garment. So if the other garment has a zipper in it, a button in it, if it's a rougher or tougher type of fabric than the one that's in the bag. So if anything, I don't think I have a shirt, like whether it be a t-shirt, or a woven shirt or whatever, that I don't put in a garment bag.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So
They all go in.
everything
Yes.
gets put in a.
The only thing I don't put in a garment bag is probably like,
jeans.
my jeans, my jeans, my pants.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Towels. I don't put them.
I've noticed recently, I have a couple more things that have Velcro on them
Yep.
from the baby.
That's right.
And
they stick to things.
I was like, damn it.
Yep.
When I washed them with something, and I was
really
disappointed.
don't like Velcro because what it does, it will stick to the thing. So that's why I told you when you had that baby to buy all those laundry bags.
That's right, and I did.
And the same thing when she had a baby, and I said, all those little socks and the little bitty this and the little bitty that. Have a laundry bag there that you just go ahead and throw the dirty ones in, so that you know that you're keeping them all together.
Yeah.
And I would say right now, mesh bags, I probably have 10.
Oh yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I even have one that has like 3 sections. It's really cool.
I have that one too.
I think I gave you that one when I found it.
But
the silk, like I said, I usually launder it. I use right now. Actually, I'm using a powdered laundry detergent that has absolutely no additives in it whatsoever.
So, like, when you say no additives,
I don't know what. I think probably
no
it has a little.
in it.
Yeah, there's no, and I think it's probably just straight borax almost or something.
Yeah, you like it?
I am liking it. And it takes like a tablespoonful for the entire load.
I am using like a free and clear,
Right, and that's
some
good.
kind of detergent.
One of the biggest mistakes is that you use too much detergent.
I cannot stand the fragrance
Right.
of
all the fragrancy things.
I can't use fabric softener.
And one of the biggest issues is that you use too much detergent. It stays in the clothing and
Makes it stiff.
And it coats, and what it does is it draws more dirt to the clothing.
Yeah, it coats it with like an oil, like a residue.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing with fabric softeners. Your best fabric softener, if you want to use a fabric softener, is not to use one in your washing machine. Use a dryer sheet if you think you need a fabric softener.
I think people don't understand how soap works. You know, like I think they think that if you coat something with soap, it makes it clean.
Yeah, and that's not true.
And with soaps are surfactants. They break the surface tension.
No, detergents break the surface tension, not soaps.
Not soaps, detergents.
Detergent and soap is two different things. You need to know that.
So, but what they do is they're doing physical work. Think about it. When, all those detergent commercials where they zoom in, it's taking the dirt away. So you don't need, it gets distributed very well by your washing machine. So you don't need a whole lot. And more is not always better. More
is usually worse. Yeah. It really is usually worse. Now, so you said silks, and that's what you asked me, and I think I answered the question, and yes.
You may move on now,
Thank
Senator.
you. And probably I might throw it in the dryer for a little bit to get it maybe, just not so soppy wet or lessen the wrinkles, and then I would hang it, and I like, the felted hangers and... there's a movie about the lady that made the first set out right now. They're joyful hangers.
They're joy hangers. No, the rayon top that I made myself recently, I didn't put it in the dryer at all. Right. And I was like, I should have put it in the dryer a little bit because it was wrinkled.
It shakes a little bit.
It would just
especially rayon. Rayon's real good for getting just those little, and if you just let it get a little bit warm in the dryer, it will hang out perfectly. Then I hang my things, and especially if it was silk, but I do this with almost everything I have, is I hang it on a rod and I have a fan going underneath it. And that's how things dry, is by how much air moves through them. And it's exactly how your dryer works, except your dryer also uses heat. Now, I don't want heat in a lot of things. So everything that I have in those mesh bags that are in that load that I have are going to wind up probably on a hanger. Another thing I want to say about a load of laundry is not only should it be like colors, but you should have like type fabrics. So you really shouldn't be washing blue jeans with
what about
silk
my blue
or rayon
silk shirt? Yeah, no,
because it's going to beat the crap out of it.
Okay,
might as well go to the creek and beat it with a stone. It'll do the same thing.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other thing about those mesh bags. Right. If you share laundry responsibilities, like in your house, or when I had just had the baby, there were a few things like Derek never put that in the dryer, or whatever. And I thought, if I'd put that in a mesh bag, he would have known. Oh, this thing in the mesh bag doesn't
now,
go in
the
the
other
dryer,
trick you can use, which I don't think works, that's why my husband is not allowed to touch my clothes, it is you can put a Post-it note on top of your washing machine that says, do not put blue shirt in dryer, okay?
No. Apparently what you can do is, and don't do this and then sue me. Apparently what you can do is use a dry erase marker on your washer.
That will stain your washer, I guarantee you. I've seen that on Pinterest.
That looks like the dumbest idea.
Don't do that. But you can take a Post-it note, or you can have a dry erase board or something that says, in this load is my, do not put pink shirt in dryer, do not put. But if I have it in a mesh bag, it's probably not going to go in the dryer.
I just got a new washer and dryer set, and I had no idea how much it would change my life. It's so beautiful. I like to hang out in the laundry room
isn't
now.
Isn't it weird that you fall in love with a
appliance?
Man, it's like falling in love with a sewing machine.
I felt guilty. And then the dryer, I just put some clothes in there like on normal, and I even got them out, though, and they weren't fried.
Right.
Like in that other
it used to be hot or cold.
Yeah, the other washer dryer set was like 40 years old, and this newer one has all these options and everything. But even
it wasn't even top of the line.
Yeah, I think it's got a sensor in it. That's all. And it and just didn't fry my clothes. And I was like, oh, this is so nice.
It is nice. So the other thing is, Mallory does. Let me tell a little background story about how I started in the cleaning clothes and wedding gowns and things and all that kind. As I had children and...
Yeah, I was going to say, how I started doing laundry.
When
a mommy and a daddy love each other very much, they make
they
little
make a lot of laundry.
Yes.
But I started... My kids were interested in performing and doing things, and their costumes came about and everything. And I would wind up washing things that said they couldn't be washed. And I'd think... Well, this is made out of this, and this is made out of this. I could at least hand wash it, and it would work out. Well, then we had finally my oldest daughter. She played the cello, and she had to have a black dress to wear in. She was in the St. Louis Youth Symphony, and she had to wear a black dress. And we found actually this vintage dress that was just amazing. It was the neatest dress. Of course, we didn't know what it was made out of. I'm thinking it was probably made in the 40s, and it fit her to a T. And she finally said, "Mom, this is starting to smell funny." And we took it to the cleaners, and it came back smelling worse. Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. And then I bought the stuff that you put in the dryer to, try and dry clean it at
Sure.
home. And it still didn't smell right. I was hanging this thing out, on the porch and letting air, and it just had this funny sort of musty smell. I think it was just been dry cleaned too many times. I think it had too many chemicals in it, and it was just old, and who knows, it probably had been put away and not seen the light of day somewhere. And it did have a combination of fabrics on it. So at this time, the internet was not, it was there, just wasn't available to us, public people, really. And I went to the library and I started reading about how in museums they would, curate the costumes and take care of them and clean them and what would happen. And oftentimes they would identify the fabric or maybe not be able to identify the fabric, or the fabric would be silk, but they weren't sure, what the embellishment on it was or whatever. And of course, oftentimes those were natural fibers in those days.
Right.
So I had this dress and I didn't know what to do with it, but she wasn't going to wear it because it stunk. So at this point, I had nothing to lose. Well, one of the ways that they clean these costumes that they find, or these old garments, and try and maintain them is they apparently just have a table, sort of. It's a shallow table that they have cold water running on, and they go through these garments like inch by inch with, with like a soft brush.
Oh.
Okay, and the strongest soap they ever use is like a Castile soap.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's very
mild.
They never use a detergent because
Sure.
they don't know, they're afraid that would be too harsh.
Mm-hmm.
And the water is constantly flowing, and they go through this and they lay it flat, and then they let it dry flat and all that. And so I'm reading all this, and I was like, that sucker's going in the bathtub.
You didn't sit with a soft brush.
I didn't.
What?
But I put it was a long black dress, and it had velvet on it. I didn't know what kind of velvet this was, if it was silk velvet or what. And it was almost like a kind of a black gabardine. It was, like I said, made in the 40s, so who knows? At least when I thought it was made and what it looked like. And I put this baby in the bathtub, and I turned on the handheld shower head. And I put it on what I would call not cold, because I couldn't stand the cold water, was too cold, but not even lukewarm. It was sort of, I would say, even maybe less than 10, but 70-degree water probably, almost room temperature water. And I just started at the bottom and thought, let's see what happens. And all of this stuff started coming out of this dress. I thought, oh no, I'm killing the color. I thought it was like the dye or something coming out of it.
But it was the funk.
It was the funk, I think. It was like this orange stuff. The water turned sort of orangey, dirty brown. And I just started working my way up the dress. And I didn't have any Castile soap at the time, but I did have shampoo, and I know that shampoo is made to take away body oil.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why Mallory and I don't use shampoo on our hair anymore. That's another podcast. But around the neck there was some makeup or whatever. There were places where and under the arms, I thought I was going to have to. There were going to be the high spots to hit with some soap maybe. So I used cheap shampoo.
Mm-hmm.
Shampoo that basically had nothing in it but whatever cheap shampoo.
Right.
99 cent a bottle shampoo.
Sure.
And that's what I used to clean it with. And I washed that baby, and the stuff just kept coming out of it. I waited till the water ran clear, and then I hung it on the back porch, and it was beautiful, and we still have it till this day.
And it smelled good.
And it smells good, and I know how, that's how I wash it now.
And that's how Mom washes wedding dresses.
I wash wedding dresses in the bathtub. I've had several young ladies that I've made dresses for or altered dresses for or whatever, and they've had outside weddings, and they're like, oh, I have twigs and garbage and everything in my wedding dress. Well, most wedding dresses today are made out of polyester.
Well, right.
So, other than yours and your sister's, of course. They had to have silk. But I can pull those twigs out.
Right.
And
start from the bottom up again,
I
right?
start from the bottom up. I usually do start from the bottom up because the bottom is what's dirty.
What's real dirty, yeah.
And I will hang it, and I will sometimes hang it like in the in the shower bathtub, and let the bottom of it soak for a few days.
Right.
And if it's really, really bad, I will use something like borax.
But you'll sort of like change the water.
I'll change the water, and that's the other thing is just change the water over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then finally lay the whole dress down. I don't know who's listening that knows that I've cleaned their wedding dress, but this is how I did it, and it was in my bathtub.
Everyone's been happy.
But everybody's been happy. And if you can't get it clean that way, you can't get it clean.
Right, right.
Okay, the dry cleaner is not going to get it clean.
Sure.
Okay, now here's another myth, and the people who sell these things are not going to like it. And I want everyone to know that I at one time opened I actually owned a bridal store.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, hey.
Forgot about that. I actually
owned a bridal store.
I owned a bridal store, and I also worked for a major bridal chain and opened up a store and their alterations department. And so they sell a kit.
Right.
I never did in my store. I told people to do what I'm going to tell you to do. So if you have a dress you want to preserve, I don't care what it is, silk, polyester, fabric of unknown origin, whatever it happens to be, do not put it in a box. Do not send it to a service that hermetically seals the box. The fabric needs to breathe no matter what it is. Silk especially, cotton especially, those fabrics need to breathe. What you do want to do is protect them from moisture and protect them from light. Okay?
So where's the best place to store them if not in the
Well,
box?
wait, I haven't talked about the poly.
Okay.
I haven't. You love to interrupt me.
I do.
Yeah. And I so love it. But anyway, so a lot of the dresses are made out of polyester now, and they have lace appliques, and they have sequins or beads on them or whatever, crystals. Some of those seeds, some of those beads, even some of the crystals have plastic in them.
Uh-huh.
Plastic has a really, really long, what we call half-life, which means it emits basically a gas, okay? It's the way that the substance is breaking down, okay, in the environment. And if you have it closed up, it will break down, and that gas will emit onto your garment. And either you'll get a really funky-looking colored garment or an uneven colored garment, or you will get little dots behind your sequins or whatever that are like brown or yellow.
Right.
And those don't wash out.
Nope.
Your dress or garment or whatever it is has chemically changed. So the best way to maintain a garment, and the silk dress that you call blue and I call green.
Yes.
Right. The way that we maintain that dress, and it's just as elaborate probably as any wedding dress, is we keep it in a cotton, basically a cotton garment bag that I made that just hangs over it, and it hangs in a clean, dry, cool place. Can't be hot, can't be wet, and no light gets to it. But it is in a cotton bag so that the dust doesn't get to it.
Right. So just hang it up.
So you hang it up. I have had people who have wanted me to restore grandma's dress or mom's dress or whatever, and we've taken it out of the hermetically sealed box, and it was a mess, and we had to, work around the damage that was caused. And then I have had people bring me, grandma's dress that was thrown in the back of the closet and somebody pulled it out, and hadn't looked at, and it was
And it's
in better shape.
Yeah.
Right. Because
absolutely.
it actually was the thing
I
that
think
was in
taking
better
care of your
shape.
clothes just sort of is a little bit of
Right.
common sense. And the more you touch, the more fabrics you deal with, the better you'll be at it.
Right.
So,
The other thing that actually happened to me one time is someone opened up the box and it was the wrong dress.
oh no!
Because they're
like they gotten
sealed.
switched
Right,
around.
right,
Oh,
because they're
no.
sealed. But
Oh,
that's just a
awful.
side story.
That's awful.
So you do what you want with your dress. Nobody's probably ever going to wear it again anyway. But
Yep.
you do what you want.
Well, thank you so much for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Zede Sewing Studio to see what we're up to each and every minute of each and every day. And thank you for listening.
So long. See you later.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.